Dina again. Welcome back to Kipco Family Homestead, and I'm so glad that you're here. Join me today in my homemaking as I take you around my day and share with you some of my from scratch meal preparations, homeschooling, homesteading, homemaking, and more. And hopefully you'll get some inspiration, motivation, or encouragement in today's video in your own homemaking journey in your own home. This morning, I'm making some sourdough cinnamon rolls. I made this dough last night and it's been fermenting on the counter all night, and this morning I'm just adding in some baking powder, baking soda, and salt. It's not exactly my favorite thing to do because working those dry ingredients into the already made dough is not that simple. But in a way, I probably do this to myself. It's probably so much easier to just use a KitchenAid, but I have yet to experiment with that. I've never used a KitchenAid for this step in this recipe, so I always just hand knead it. But next time, I think I'll give the KitchenAid a try. It'll probably be easier to work those dry ingredients into the dough. This morning, I'm making 2 batches of the sourdough cinnamon rolls. I love to make double portions of practically everything that I make just because we have a family of 6, and if I'm making something, I might as well just make extra so that I'm not just cooking all the time. So in this case, the cinnamon rolls will serve as our breakfast, and the rest I'm going to store in the pantry, and that'll be either tomorrow's breakfast or just it'll be sitting there as a snack for the kids whenever they get hungry in the middle of the day. I was considering making just one giant sheet of the cinnamon roll, but I decided against it and ended up splitting the dough into 2 parts, and I'm just going to be making 2 separate batches. I figured one gigantic sheet of sourdough cinnamon roll dough would be a little bit too difficult to roll up and cut probably, so I thought this way would be easier and faster. Just out of curiosity for my viewers, if you guys have ever made a double batch of cinnamon rolls, how do you do it? Do you roll out the entire giant sheet on your table and do it that way, or do you split it into 2 smaller sheets like I am doing today? Recently, I've been thinking on the topic of homesteading and how different people view it differently. I once had a comment where I posted a short and I titled it something about currently on the urban homestead or something like that. And the reason I called it urban was just because we do live out in the country, but they just keep building things all around us. So I just went ahead and decided that I guess we're an urban homestead then. We do live in a suburb area anyway. It's in a neighborhood. Everyone has a good amount of land, just under an acre each house, but it's still obviously not what people think of when they think of homestead, 5+ acres or whatever you think of when you think of homestead. We live on under an acre, but how I see homestead may be a little bit different. So on that short where I titled it Life on the Urban Homestead, somebody left a comment and said, there's no such thing as an urban homestead. But I kind of laughed and I was like, well, depends on what your definition of homestead is. So I just wanted to share that maybe you're like us, you live on a small piece of land, or maybe you have even smaller. We used to have a 1/4 acre. And really for us, my husband and I, and our kids, what homestead means is, if you're living off of your land, you're doing everything you can to utilize all the space and land, every corner that you possibly can. I kind of define that as you living on a homestead. For example, us, we don't have a lot of land, but we're trying to learn to use every tiny little corner of what we have right now. So we're currently raising some meat chickens. We're raising hens who lay eggs every day. So we already kind of have a small source of meat and eggs on our own land. Also, we have planted so many fruit trees and bushes. We planted multiple apple trees, a peach tree. We have a little orchard of blueberries going. We have quite a few raspberries that we planted on 2 sides of the house. So as I said before, we're just trying to use every tiny piece of space that we can. And we have a small garden where I'm also growing herbs and vegetables and flowers. And so by my definition, I would call this a small little homestead where our family tries to live off of our own land. And if that's you also, I just wanted to encourage you, like, don't feel bad if you are not able to have all the land that you want at this moment in your life. As long as you are being a good steward and doing everything you can with all that you have right now, I think that that's really what matters. And while you're in this time of waiting, maybe like we are, our goal is to have a big homestead on a lot of acres. But for the time being, I'm teaching myself how to can. I'm really getting into sourdough and cooking from scratch and preserving food. Having a food source on your own land is already a huge step, and it doesn't matter what size land you have. Like I mentioned before, we had a 1/4 acre before this, and the people who we bought our house from before this one, they had used every corner of that yard. They had so many things growing, and everywhere you look, there was something growing: herbs, fruits, vegetables, flowers. And after that, I was so inspired, and that's kind of what got me going into this kind of lifestyle. Living out in the country here in Georgia, you'll see a lot of homes with a ton of property anywhere you drive. And it just made me think, because we've seen so many properties where there's a home and just so much space, and it doesn't look like they're using any part of it. Like, there's no animals, there's no pasture, there's no barn, there's no visible garden. It looks like they're not really using the land. And it just made me think, it almost doesn't matter. I mean, I know you need space if you're trying to have cows and goats and chickens and all of that, which is a goal of ours. But, you know, in the current season that we're in, it just made me think, like, some people have the things that we want, but they don't even use it. So just kind of seeing that, it really inspired me, you know, to do even better and even more with the things that I have. I believe that there should be no wasted time. And just because right now we don't have that big piece of land that we're dreaming of, that doesn't mean that I should just sit around and be waiting. Well, one day we'll have it and then I'll start. No, for me, that means that I have to do everything I can right now in this season of my life to prepare for the next step. So when we do, God willing, get a big homestead like we dream of, I'll already come in with the skills needed to actually run that homestead. You know, right now we're learning about processing meat chickens and raising baby chicks and all the things, you know, preserving food, canning, all of those things, how to get good, healthy soil in order to get an abundant harvest of fruits and vegetables and flowers, and how to properly plant fruit trees, how to prune the fruit trees. All these valuable lessons, I'm making sure that I'm learning all of that in this season that we're in right now. So whether you're on a large property, on a little 1/4 acre, or even in an apartment, I think you should see homesteading as more of a mindset. And you start where you are right now. If you're in an apartment, then focus on maybe learning to cook from scratch, buying a whole bunch of fresh produce at the store, learning how to can and preserve that food, or maybe learn sourdough bread baking, things like that. Like, I believe that anywhere you are in life, there is somewhere that you can start. Another wonderful thing that I see from living a homesteading life is what it teaches our children. It just teaches them about the value of hard work and how hard it is to raise all these fruits and vegetables, the things that we use on a daily basis. I also love that it gives them a hands-on daily life lesson. They help around the house with chores and the outdoor chores and garden chores and chicken chores, and all these things are so valuable to a child that's growing up, seeing all these things and participating in this kind of life. I also believe that it helps build up character and discipline and a greater appreciation for life itself. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for joining me in my day, and please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. And be sure to check out the channel main page for more inspiration, motivation on homemaking, homesteading, homeschooling, cooking from scratch, and so much more.